Namaskaram and a very good evening to everyone. Welcome back for this episode. And the artists of this episode will be the very familiar violin and vocal duo artists, Akkarai Sisters, Miss Subbalakshmi as well as Miss Sornalata. We're very, very happy to have them here today. They have established themselves as the leading accompanying violinists, one of the finest violin duet players as well, and of course, very, very promising vocal duo as well. They're very, very versatile artists. And Guru Nellai Ravindran sir and myself, Nishant, are very, very pleased and honored to have them with us today.
Yeah. Please.
Namaskaram.
Namaskaram.
Thank you for joining us today.
A pleasure.
Maybe I'll just start with the first question. We all know that how versatile you are in terms of your ability to both accompany as well as play violin solos, as well as play sing the vocals as well. So my question to start off is, which aspect did you start off with in your musical journey? And, how has your musical journey evolved over the last maybe 2-3 decades since you started music when you were young?
First of all, we're very happy to be a part of this program organized by SIFAS, Singapore.
And really commend SIFAS for coming up with such a beautiful initiative to educate the students with the intricacies of our music.
Thank you.
And such an enthusiastic Nellai Ravindran sir, he's so enthusiastic about, having such conversation and very keen in involving artists and educating the students, which is a very commendable thing. So anyway, the first question that you asked was, we initially started off as solo artists and duos because
we actually grew up in Delhi. Our father, Sri S. Swaminathan, is our guru. He actually trained us when we were in Delhi. He used to ask us to play with the tapes of great legends.
Oh.
This thought came to him. This unique training method was devised by him just because he didn't want us to miss out on any opportunities to be exposed to Carnatic music, since concerts were few and far between in Delhi then.
That's a great idea, yes.
Yeah, so that gave us a very good exposure to Carnatic music as well as the art of accompaniment, actually.
So initially we started learning, so of course, when you start learning the basics, you learn it, as a solo artist initially. And then I went on to perform, because she's younger to me, 3 years younger to me. I went on to perform at the age of 8. That was my first solo performance when I gave violin solo performance. But before which, we have been singing duets. So as a concert artist, we started off as duo singers only. And then only we started playing violin duets. Because you need to have certain height to hold on to the violin. She was a tiny tot, so she couldn't hold on to the violin at that age. So we started off as singers first and then moved on to violin. But as she mentioned, our father devised this unique method of, because being a solo artist, a duet artist, we can always practice together and, master that at home. But to get a concert experience playing along with other artists is something that you have to have concert experience, which was not available in Delhi. So father used to make us play along with the tapes of the great legends. And one main thing that he would tell us is that you are the accompanist there. And you have to exactly reproduce whatever has been thrown to you. You can never say that I cannot do this.
I vividly remember those sessions. I was very young then, and he used to make me sit beside her and keep the talam and all that. So he used to tell her that you have to play as if you're on stage with that artist. So any kind of a concentration lapse was not allowed at all. So if she made any mistake, he would just come and just blast her like anything, because he said, this is only because you are not concentrating enough. And not just for her, but also for me. He used to come and just throw questions at me. Okay, tell me, what is the Sangati that he's singing now? I have to immediately tell him the swarams and I have to keep the talam all through the concert. So that's how our younger day training was like. So that really helped us, gain knowledge, not just as an accompanist, but also as a music student. So it really helped us in a great way to understand the music better and to also know what accompaniment actually is.
Oh. How did being a violinist helped your vocals and being a vocalist helped your violin?
Since we did both from a very young age, we only saw it as a advantageous thing because, as you may know, that to play an instrument and to play Carnatic music, you need to have a lot of Sahitya Jnanam, which is Carnatic music is composition oriented. So where you need to know the lyrics and the meanings. So it is very important that when we play an instrument, it is not just playing the notes. It is, we have to play the Sahityam. And that's when you can actually, when somebody says that, we could hear someone sing through your violin, means we are able to reproduce that only because we have learned to sing those songs.
Just changing the bow for the lyrics won't get the feel at all. Only if we know the Sahityam and if it is just within us, then we can bring out that dynamics that is required for the lyrics and give the best out of the instrument.
I do feel that while playing violin, that is one of the things which can't be taught and that has to be felt by oneself and reproduced.
Right.
Yeah.
For example, if we have to say Oraju Puju Chetinyama. So if somebody sings or plays that won't make any sense because Oraju Puju Chedinya. So you cannot split that word like that. So it is very important that you sustain it, and that comes naturally when you have learned it in vocal. So that really helps in violin playing, and vice versa. In for a vocal student to learn instrument is always advantageous because it helps in understanding the nuances of the gamakas, because we can literally visualize where the notes are traveling when you do the gamakams, and also to understand the space between the notes. So it really helps in a great way.
You can even understand the minutest of details when you play a fretless instrument, especially. So that is an added advantage of knowing a fretless instrument.
I mean, of course, you've told us about how you grew up with your violin and vocal solos, but of course, many of us, including myself, as a fan of both of your accompaniments, having seen you in Chennai and in Singapore as well, I wonder how, over the years, your accompaniment has also grown compared to just your solo artist playing, because of course it is quite difficult to train how you are as an accompanist compared to just practicing a solo piece at home, right? So how would you say you've trained yourself as accompanist, aside from accompanying maybe the recordings of the older artists?
Yeah, of course, while in Delhi, we could only accompany. I mean, we cannot say we could only accompany. We were very, very lucky and blessed to have had those tapes of legendary artists, because we've had the opportunity to play along with them. So that
And
was
one more thing was, because we were in Delhi, we got exposed to both Carnatic and Hindustani music.
Oh.
So he would, our father would make us play with both Carnatic concerts and Hindustani concerts. So all the radio Sangeetha Sambhashana concerts he used to record, and later we have to play the tape apart from playing it live when it is broadcasted. So
that was a practice back in Delhi. But after we moved to Chennai in 1999, so before which I played a concert in 1998. That is my first Margari season concert with Abhishek Raghuram. So that concert where, people actually didn't know who I was and where did I come from and all that, because though our grandparents are great musicians, they were not in the field. So for people to know that we are so-and-so's granddaughters and all that. But it was a divine grace, and one had to have that breakthrough, right? So that concert was a breakthrough for me.
I still remember sitting in the audience when the curtain just went off. The audience were just talking like, who is this girl? They've just put someone on the violin for Abhishek's concert. So,
And I'm sure, I don't know how this, probably the concert is not going to be as successful as we may think. But within the first song, when started singing the Swaram, I started playing it immediately. People were like awestruck. And the response of the people, like thunderous applause, as though, the rain is pouring outside the hall. So all that experience that we had back at home with the tapes really helped, and people couldn't belie their eyes because they couldn't believe that somebody of that age could play so well. But that all credit goes to our father and Guru, who worked relentlessly, tirelessly. He would not spare us even for a minute to not practice.
he was a very strict disciplinarian. So
Yes,
And
yes.
24/7, it was only music at home. Apart from studies, all we could do was only music. So, and slowly from there on, started playing with a lot of eminent artists, legendary artists. So that experience adds up year after year, right? So that's why we always talk about it. We say we are so blessed to be accompanying somebody even now. We've never left that. We will never leave it because that gives us a lot of opportunity to learn more and establish ourselves as a better musician. It also helps a lot in our duet concerts. The confidence that you get, the confidence to face anything on stage, all comes with that experience because you play with different artists belonging to different styles.
Yeah.
And it is very important to adapt. As I said earlier, our father was a strict discipline. He would say, if you're a true accompanist, you have to match their style. You can't say, no, you were not able to do it.
he always says a true accompanist is one who is able to adapt to the style of the artist he's performing with, as well as show his or own individuality. So that's what makes a true accompanist. Like we have seen Lalgudi Mama and many others also. Lalgudi Mama play with GNB sir or MDR, and those are styles which are totally different. But when we even listen to Lalgudi Mama's Raga Lapana from those concerts, we can easily make out whom he was accompanying. So he has always told us that that's how an accompanist should be.
It's a true character of an accompanist, So even if we made the smallest of mistake in a kacheri, our father wouldn't spare us. Even till today it happens. So
That's great. So, as you told about the breaking of ice when you played accompaniment, what was the turning point when you feel as duo singers? Any particular concert that you can recall?
I don't think we can recall any particular concert. This is the journey, which is just
Okay.
flowed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm.
Back
So,
in Delhi, we were giving a lot of vocal concerts only. Only after coming to Chennai, I think
because she started performing as a accompanist. So we are not that kind who would just go and say we also sing, we play. The whatever concerts came to us naturally, we just accepted. That's all. Since she started accompanying, people came to know us as accompanists more than a duo or vocal duo or violin duo.
Oh,
And later, slowly they started.
And later, actually, we must say the field put us to a challenge. So we had to face a lot of challenge of being a female artist and so many other things. So we were pushed to bring back our duets back in the scene. So
okay. So what do you think is the basic difference in the qualities of an accompanist or a soloist?
Like we already said,
Mm.
an accompanist should be able to, he should have that ability to adapt to the style of the artist that he's performing with and be on the same lines with the artist. And that really helps in the success of the concert. And as a solo artist, one gets to, one has the liberty of choosing what to play or what to sing on that particular day, depending on the mood or depending on the ambience situation and even depending on the co-artists that we perform with, even when we perform our duets. So when we have certain artists on the mridangam, we feel, oh, today if we play this composition, that will really, gel well with this artist. So that's how we plan our duets as well.
I mean, over the years, I've been a huge fan of Miss Subbalakshmi's partnership, I would say, with Abhishek Raghuram over the so many years and even till today. I'm just wondering, aside from like, on stage, of course, performing together, do you all also practice together sometimes, or do you all actually talk about, concerts together aside from just performing?
Actually, mainly it happens during our travel. So we discuss a lot of music. We discuss a lot of, musical aspects. And so it's generally, and whenever I've traveled with Abhishek, it's always been only music all the time. So there's no other thing that, we even talk about. So it's a very healthy, how do you say, collaboration, even outside concerts. So many things that, we can share, and we, talk about the field, we talk about the music and everything. So it's, and my journey with Abhishek goes from 98. So
That's awesome. Is there any like mental preparation? Because of course, like you said, you have to be very, very versatile for each different type of artist. Is there any mental preparation involved? Let's say, that tonight you're performing for a certain artist and tomorrow you have a different artist, completely different style. Is there anything in your mind you purposely prepare before each concert as an accompanist?
Yeah, certainly. It is very important to keep it in mind that, how do I act to this artist? It is a very challenging thing, because your mind goes through so much, because it is not sometimes, when we have December season going on, today I'll be playing with Abhishek, tomorrow I'll be playing with Shruti M. Krishna, and the day after will be Ravi Kiran sir. So what happens is, all are from different styles, and people really look forward to this combo. So when you have to prepare your mind in such a manner that, you really are at the top of it. So a lot of mental preparation really goes, and the regular practice with regard to practice and rehearsal, it is your regular practice that you keep up every day, which helps you on the stage.
Okay. I have heard to senior violinists of like yesteryears saying that being thrilled when they don't know about what is going to be performed by the singer.
Yeah.
So that is regarding a ragam tanam pallavi, unexpected ragam tanam pallavi in a difficult talam or whatever. So being thrown at them when they expected the least. So is it that kind of the same situation that it is now? It is a bit like some basic preparations will be there.
Mostly it is the same now, because many artists that we perform with now, they actually create something on the spot and they themselves just sing it on stage. And if something is very tricky, or something that they feel that they should inform us, then they just call before the concert and let us know that we are just planning to do something like this.
But 99% it is spontaneous only. Very rarely this phenomena happens. But it is also important that an accompanyist should not expect anything from the lead artist to tell them that I'll be performing this, I'll be performing that.
Yeah.
Because we have heard this famous story of Lalgudi Mama. Once when he was called as a substitute artist to play with Alathur brothers. I'm pretty sure you would have heard this story, where he was going to play for Alathur brothers at the academy, and so he comes to his father and says, "Appa, I've been asked to play with Alathur brothers. Should I go to their house and talk with them as to what they're singing and all that?" Next minute he said, "Violin moota katti vachu paran mela vachidu." It means pack your violin and put it in the attic. So he says, if you are a true accompanist, you should face anything that is thrown to you on the stage. And this has been this is what our father has been telling us from our childhood days. It is not because we can achieve everything. We have also, all of us, at any artist at any point of time, we have to face a lot of problems on the stage. But with experience, we manage sometimes. Sometimes we come out with flying colors. So that is part of learning. We are all humans, and we have to make mistake. It is not that otherwise we'll be a robot. But the beautiful thing is you learn something out of that concert, and then you improve every day. Whereas if you rehearse everything beforehand, there is nothing for you to be surprised, happily surprised.
But when
And
we
there is one more thing also, when I was traveling with Shivaraman Mama, Umayapuram Shri Shivaraman Mama, on a tour, as we were talking very, as we were having some friendly conversation, he said, Sublakshmi, you know what, we are like Brahmastras. Whatever is thrown to us, we should be able to give it back. We must never say, no, we cannot do this, we cannot do that. No complaints. So I always felt everything. I mean, whatever my father said, what I heard of Dalgudi Mama, what Shivaraman Mama is saying, everything is the same. So it is very important for an accompanying artist to keep in mind that, even somebody doesn't tell you anything which is very difficult to manage on stage, you should be in a position to manage it at least. If not, if you don't come out with flying colors, at least you should be able to manage. That experience you would only get if when you try it on the stage, not rehearsing it before.
So when you sing as a duo, what expectations will you have from your accompanying violinist?
We generally feel, the artists who are accompanying for us, we really like them because we always move as a family. Because we have been playing with so many artists for so many years, and we know what the team effort means. So we believe in the team.
Both the sides. So we've seen both the sides. So
Yes. That's why this question, yeah.
So we would plan some things like, it would be nice if this artist, if we sing this raga, because that artist would play really beautifully. We even plan it in such a way. And sometimes when we are planning on a thematic concert, we may tell them that these are the compositions we may be singing. So it is always nice to get acquainted with the new songs, so that it'll be very easy for a violinist to come along with the vocalist. And if we're doing a thematic Pallavi concert, we may just call them and tell them, we may be singing this kind of a Pallavi today. So it is a very friendly and a very family-like thing for us when we are on stage. It's just working with your own family.
Yeah. When singers normally have some preferences of whom to accompany and all, but playing with a particular artist, particular singer for many concerts gives you a level of comfort. Now, even before going to the stage, am I right?
Yeah. Right, definitely.
Yeah, the same thing the singer might also feel when they ask the same who is familiar with them to accompany. So all of a sudden, when a junior violinist is put on stage with a senior violinist, as your first experience maybe in the past, that will be the most challenging.
Yeah.
And when you're quite used, you might have a level of comfort, so that you know that how their manodharma will be. And though they throw some challenges which you might unforeseen challenges, but you might be able to take it because of your experience. Am I right?
Yeah.
So experience as an accompanist is very important to accompany senior vocalists, as I see.
Yeah, definitely, because that's why we, as we mentioned earlier, because our father gave us so much practice through the tapes of the SREs, it was like a child's play for us, because for I'm not saying it was so easy. It was so, we got so accustomed to accompany. So it was like a second nature for us to go, and it was so joyful for us to be on stage. And of course, there were a lot of challenges thrown to us at a very young age itself, but at least we were able to manage it on the stage. And we would come back home and sit and work on it and feel, we have to be better at it, at least at the next given opportunity.
Just out of curiosity, I mean, given that you have so many facets of your music, on a day-to-day practice basis, do you practice both violin and vocal? Do you focus on one, or is it like you have to evenly spread out the practice?
We practice both.
Yeah, we practice both, but it is not a very rigid thing that we should only be doing vocal, should only be doing violin. If we feel like learning a new song, we would first sit and sing, and then we will take it to the violin. And sometimes if we just feel like playing a lot of exercises and get some techniques, we just sit and practice violin. So there is no such hard and fast rule that we would do this and we would split it up.
Whatever you feel like doing at that time, we just yeah.
About violin playing, then have you find anything interesting which can be imbibed from other styles of music, like Hindustani or Western styles of music?
Of course, our life experience has been only that inspiration.
And we want to hear from you about what are the things that you might have like taken into the techniques or whatever. Please go on.
So mainly, we all know that violin is a Western instrument. So we have so many techniques in Western, and we try to adapt some that is suitable to our music. So, for example, bowing two strings at the same time and playing harmonies wherever it sounds good, and using staccato for tanam playing. So otherwise, if we just play the tanam with like we play the swaram, it will just sound like a swaram. It wouldn't give that effect of the tanam. So yeah, we use staccato for tanam and
all those things, and playing trying to play many notes in one string, and a lot of different combinations of things that we have tried. And also, I mean, as inspiration, we have drawn inspiration from Lal Gudi Mama, drawn inspiration from MSG Mama, T. N. Krishnan Mama, Dwaram Venkateswamy Naidu, VVS sir. So we have heard from our childhood is these people, and and somewhere I'm pretty sure they have really gone deep within us, and then it just comes out sometimes, unknowingly.
Along the way, you mentioned that we've also know that you accompany Chitraveena N Ravindran sir. In your opinion, let's say, what is the difference between accompanying the vocals as an accompanist versus accompanying something like an instrument, flute or Chitraveena or any other instruments as an accompanist?
As you may know, violin is the king of instrument, and it is very, very suitable for Carnatic music because of the bowing, the sustenance and the So artists feel it is so very, though it is a Western instrument,
it has just become a part of Carnatic music. So very vital part of Carnatic music. So that, I mean, there are hardly any concerts without violin in our music now.
Not just Carnatic music, it's also Hindustani, because we have admired N. Rajam playing so much, and have really admired her Gayaki style and everything. So it is, and how well it has come into our Indian system. That's a beauty of the violin. And when you especially play with instrumentalists like Chitraveena or flute or any other instrument, they're all strings. I mean, they pluck it. And when you have a violin as an accompaniment, you have a contrast there because it's a bowed instrument, and you have a continuity. And so even for the audience, they feel, oh, people like contrast.
It just gives a wholesome effect.
Yes.
Yes. Correct. So when we play along with like flute or something, it's entirely different. Like, at least in Chitraveena, it's a string instrument. It has a continuity like bow, but though the plucking is there. But while playing for flute, it's entirely different. That it's blow is entirely different from the style of bowing. So is it easy or difficult to match that style to accompany?
Again, it would be very complementing. So I wouldn't say it is difficult to match, because as an accompanist, as I said earlier, we should be ready for any challenges thrown on us on the stage. So at the max, you would see a flute player exploring super fast Sangati, super fast Swaras, and that we have to be ready for it, to face it on stage. And because in flute is very easy to play fast. So So those things you may, and for in Chitravina you may have to face challenge of playing everything in one string, because they have a range of octave where they can just go on like for 1.5 octaves or 2 octaves as well.
And I would just like to add one more thing here. When we accompany instruments like flute, yeah, there will be somewhere where they would explore with the techniques of flute, which cannot be brought out in the violin.
Yes.
But there again, we can definitely match it with some other technique that is just with violin, you know. So
Complement it.
We can definitely complement it. We cannot exactly play what they have played because that is not possible on the violin. So yeah, there have been instances like that, but yes,
sometimes they may play 2 octaves at a time.
Yeah.
Which is not possible in violin. So
yeah. So there is a very interesting aspect about playing or sticking to one bani. Because in the last 50 to 70 years, we have seen some banis taking over the Carnatic world, violin banis. So sticking to one bani or mixing of banis, which is advisable or good?
very good question.
Actually, we'll talk from what we have experienced so far. We feel bani is something that gets formed naturally over the years, and not something that we, sit and work on like, oh, this is how our bani should be. No, I don't think that is the way it is formed. So initially, of course, we'll be listening to so many different styles, and we might just, when we play, that might just come out. But over the years, when you really get into it, your individuality comes out. Yeah. And that's when I think the bani gets slowly formed. And that would obviously have all the influences of what we have listened over the years and what we have worked on over the years. But that is something that the listeners must experience. I mean, we cannot say we have a bani or a person has a bani. That is something that is left to the listeners to say if this sounds like a bani or is this something that is already there. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was interested in this question because like even about vocal, there are some opinions going on. Like some people say that in those days, people was following one bani and that was good. And nowadays everybody is mixing banis, which so you cannot like actually segregate who is singing which bani.
Yeah. Actually, it's a very good question, because those days when we hear someone sing, we would exactly spot the artist. Yes. Because this is one artist who's singing like bani. Yeah. Spot the bani, and today it is so difficult to see who is this and which clan does he belong to.
And that would also be because we have so much of social media. We have exposure to all the recordings, and we listen to so many other banis as well. But in those days, the student would just follow what the guru says, and they would have their own identity. So we have seen students of legendary artists, and they have had their own styles. They have never copied it. Yes. And mixing, I would say, is personally, I don't like mixing up banis, and mixing up means you're confused. So that is not a good sign for any artist.
But normally, like when we listen to many artists and when we have like an impression of 3 or 4 artists, we normally take the best of everybody or whatever we can imbibe. That's quite natural, I think, for any artist. That happens not only with violin, but vocal and any instrument, it happens, I think.
Yeah, when that comes naturally, then it really sounds good. That is, but when one tries to take one from this and one from the other artist, then it sounds made up, not something that is natural. Yeah, anything natural always sounds good.
It has to just flow in, basically. We are truly inspired by so many artists of the exterior, so many of the exterior artists. But it is very important that we have we have a heart of our own, we have a liking of our own, and how would that fit into this, and then make it our own identity. It is very important. because we have to express the music, and that is what is going to be reaching the audience and listeners around the world. So that is very important for an artist to have his or her identity along with the inspirations from the exterior artists. Very important. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I wanted to ask, I mean, of course, like someone like myself or other junior students here, we definitely have a full-time guru we are learning from. But let's say when you're a bit more advanced in your journey, when you're a full-time professional musician, actually, you mentioned earlier about learning a song and all that. Actually, how do you pick up a kriti along the way if you decide one day, actually, I want to learn a kriti? What is your method of learning it? Do you go to a guru particularly, or is there any other way for it?
Yeah, nowadays we listen to different recordings of the song, and then we sit and work on it, and we see what suits best to our style of singing. So that's how we work on a composition and learn it, and then we
refer to a lot of books as well. There is a huge T.K. Govindarao Mama's work is something very can't even imagine that someone has worked so much in his life to bring in so many compositions. That's a treasure, There's so many artists who have worked to bring in such rare, all composition of Tyagaraja, all composition of from Dikshita, all composition of Shama Shastri, and a lot of Varnams. So those are a huge tool for us to learn new kritis. And of course, apart from this, we also listen to the great masters who have actually sung this. And there are a lot of compositions we have learned from our gurus. We refer to those notations, and then we keep practicing and polishing them.
Nowadays, like building a huge repertoire is one of the main things in every artist armory. Because it's in those days we used to listen that one artist knew 150 kritis or something, and they lived with that.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not the same, I think, nowadays.
Yeah.
And each season you need to sing a new set of kritis. And probably some artists might have forgotten what they sang 8 years back. It's quite common nowadays.
Yeah.
So
and then someone will come and say, you sang this 8 years ago. Thanks to the social media and the technology that we have.
So building the repertoire is a consistent thing for any artist, irrespective of their age nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah, we have heard that in those days, though artists only performed a set of compositions, but they had a very huge repertoire as well. That's what we have heard. But they sometimes just feel, we have still more to do with this composition. They are not satisfied with what they have done so far with that composition. So that is the reason they keep singing the raga quite often, or the composition quite often. That's what we have heard. And people didn't have access to those recordings, So they were very happy to come and listen to the live concert and go back home happily. But today we have today I only see people only recording, not even listening. Everybody is with their cell phones recording, and so it doesn't get registered in their mind at all. They always at the back of the mind. See, it is like how we learned music from our gurus. Even with our generation, we never use recordings to record the tapes, record the classes. Yes. We have to remember what our guru taught us, and we'll go home, write notation, and then sing it in the next class. And now we see that students can't be without recording. Even the students that we teach, they say, "Ma'am, can we record it?" Yes, you record. Otherwise, they're going to be forgetting. Now we tell them, actually, if you want, we can just repeat it 10 times. But I try to tell them that it would be better if you don't record, because most of the times I just joke with them saying, see, your recorder is only learning the song and not you. So sometimes, that's what happens. They are not very alert in class because they know that anyway we are recording the song. At the back of the mind, that anyway it's being recorded. I can always go back and refer to that. So that's see, we should use the technology as a tool to improve, but not to this extent where we have to, where our depend on it just come down.
Human interactions need to be more. Yes.
Certainly.
When I started learning, I remember the first Varnam book that I saw was after maybe 6 to 7 years of my learning. So it was not common in those days, being in Tirunelveli, and I had to go to Chennai to get a book. So it was long after my starting of the journey that I just had a Varnam book.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
That was the
And
way
that
we
is,
learned. Take
yeah,
notation.
and like they said, even to get a book is very difficult those days. It was very difficult.
And I very vividly remember after our classes, we on the way home, we'll just be singing the same thing again and again.
Yeah.
And as soon as we come home, we try to notate whatever we have learnt and keep it in our books.
First thing our father would ask, what did you learn today? Sing.
Okay.
He would say, immediately sing. How can we sing? So quickly we'll write down the notation and then practice it 2 or 3 times and then sing it for him. So that way we memorized it on the same day, very same day. So it was very easy for us. And it's possible. Human brain is so capable of storing so many things. We just don't realize its value.
Yes.
If I may ask, in terms of your daily practice for violin, how have your methods changed over the last maybe 10, 20 years with your maturity over as a soloist as well as duet and accompanist? Like, is there a change in your methodology itself in terms of practice, or is it fundamentally the same over the last many years?
Fundamentally, it's the same because we come up with a lot of new verses to adapt to new style of singing or to face them on the stage. Sometimes we may see, okay, we may have to practice these type of verses to get fluent with that kind of playing. But fundamentally, we have to work on a lot of exercises continuously, because if we lose practice even for one day, it shows up on the stage. So the consistency of practice is very important. And as you said, the thought process keep changing. So mentally you work a lot rather than working on the instrument, because ideas that form in your mind is what is executed in the hand. So once you are set with the hands, it is only your mind which is working towards certain methodology.
I have a specific question about, for example, we are playing, if you played some kriti together maybe 15 years back. The same kriti you are playing now also. Will there be any change or it will be the same?
No, definitely there will be a change.
Yeah,
definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
with all the experiences we have had so far, there would definitely be a few changes here and there. Yeah.
Okay.
It is very important for us to evolve. So, and that is one of the signs.
Lakshmi, you told about the tradition. You can have a few words about your grandfather also, please.
Yeah, sure. Whatever we are today is because of him.
Yeah.
He's the first musician in our family, and he was a great composer, great violinist, great vocalist, and he was very adept in playing harmonium, and he could teach veena, any instrument. Whatever he touched, he could do. And he was just a very blessed musician. He was born to be a musician. And though he didn't have much support from his family to learn and all that, somehow music was very natural to him, I think. So
he could play the veena, he could play the mridangam also.
Yeah.
So
in fact, he was the one who trained my aunt to play the mridangam, actually.
Oh.
So he was a multifaceted genius. And it is very interesting how he started learning music, because he started to sing. Like, just like that, he started to sing. And once when he was singing a concert, one person came and approached him and said, can you please teach my son? I want him to learn. So my grandfather was like, oh my God, he had never learned basics. He could sing. But then he realized that he needs to go have a proper training from a guru, so as for him to know the basics, how the fundamentals are in Kannada. So he went to learn from a guru called Arunachala Navi, who was living in Bhutapandi, and Tata was living in Nagarkoil at that time. So he went to him and then quickly learned all the basics, and then that's all. And he was just he just had to know that these things existed. That's all. That he
was mostly self-taught.
Yeah.
I've seen in Nagarkoil, Bhutapandi, that Sushindram, around that area, there have been many musicians who didn't come to the limelight. Maybe they were limited to their geographical area. Maybe
Yeah.
little
Our
known to them.
grandparents had they had some health issues as well. So our grandmother was a Harikatha exponent, and she was a music teacher at the government school. So after though they were very popular in their region, they just couldn't come out because of the health reasons. They couldn't travel. They couldn't do it.
I feel blessed that I was able to meet your grandfather 2 or 3 times in Nagarkoil when I was very young. But at that time, I didn't know fully about him.
Yeah, correct.
Told about him and all. So I went with them and
You didn't tell me this though. I didn't know you had seen Tata.
Very happy to know that.
Happy to know this. Yeah.
I think you might have been like children maybe in Delhi and all, but at that time, I met your grandfather and grandmother in Nagarkoil.
And whatever we are today is because of their blessings, and of course our parents who literally given their life for our music career.
So while growing in music, like for any artist, maybe of Nishant stage or even a junior stage, whether in violin or vocals, jamming sessions helps a lot. Or jamming sessions, like how do you feel about jamming sessions with different artists and friends or something?
No, it's very good. We have heard of artists who would have informal sessions at home, just practice whatever they feel like singing and playing. So that really helps. Jamming is very good.
In those days, I was like, I have gone through many places where we have like Ekadasi bhajane, Shashti bhajane, Kartika bhajane. So it's not basically one bhajane or something. It's just a jamming session.
Yeah.
Create an opportunity to have some jamming where many artists come. We don't even know what the singer will be singing in Shruti, which singer will be coming. We didn't even know. We took 2 violins, sat there for long hours, had very good sessions. So that built in a lot of stamina and also our mental preparedness to play for anything, anybody. With so these things, I doubt whether this current generation is getting because of not such situations very prevalent. Maybe in Chennai, maybe in Chennai it's a bit there, but we don't find much musicians out of Chennai.
Yeah, this actually reminds me of our younger days in Delhi, where Appa used to take us to Condoms. Where we have, we were playing for many artists all through the night sometimes. She has played with Raghavan, Tirupugal Raghavan. So where he used to sing for about 6 to 7 hours at a stretch, and she used to play with him. And I think that was a great experience even for me to just see.
And that 6-7 hours of playing was continuous for me, because when Mama sings Viritam, I have to play. And then when he leaves Ragam for me, I have to play. And there is no Taniya Vartanam as such in Tirupugal. So 7 hours of good music and solid sitting. So I have had, really blessed to have had that opportunity to be, playing such, and those experiences have really given me such strength. And today, when people say 4-hour concert, really doesn't, we don't feel, we feel so comfortable performing a 4-hour concert rather than a 2-hour concert.
Yes.
But we feel at least we have the time to explore music, And now it has become like from test to 1 day to T20.
Yes. I also like taken part in many like Akkandams, like 12-hour Akkandams, like for Shivaratri, for Ramanavami. So many such Akkandams also used to happen. So we'll be like, when we accompany, normally the number of violinists present will be less. There'll be 6 mridangis, there'll be 2 violinists for 12-hour Akkandam. So normal expectation is like minimum 6 hours, 5 to 6 hours. So without any rest throughout the night. So that was a
Sometimes
very good
we have to
experience.
even compensate. If there's no singers, we have to go sing also, right? That has also happened, because the Akkandam has to continue. There can't be a break. So
we can just have some words about what your Singapore experiences. You have traveled many times to Singapore. for SIFAS and also for other concerts. How was your experience?
Yeah, I've always loved the enthusiasm that Singapore audience have showed, and be it duet concerts or accompaniment, everything. People would come for us, so that is something which is very unique, and really artists would take back that feeling so happily, because they know that the last time I performed in Singapore was with Abhishek at Esplanade. And I know people came and said, we came for the combo, and that gives an artist so much happiness, because it is not you have not worked for it to get that name. It has formed over the years, and that is a true happiness that an artist takes back home. So and Singapore has been one such place where it's the warmth and the interest and the passion that people have, even to listen to a concert. It's very important. So always love playing there. Always love playing there. So
Okay, thank you for being with us today. And it was a great session with both of you.
yeah, thank you so much. We also love sharing our experiences. Yeah.
When you hope the situation gets a bit normal and we'll be able to see you soon back here.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
love to have live interactions.
Yeah.
And our
Looking
best wishes to
forward.
all the students of SIFAS, and a great musical career ahead.
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you.
Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Welcome.